Hello everyone, I wish you a day full of peace. Today we will follow the steps of Y, a man who has gone through the pain of a breakup but still keeps faith in happiness in his heart. After many years apart, his ex-wife has returned. This encounter is no longer about reproaches, but about closing the past and opening a new beginning. On that journey, he meets Maya's grandparents again, receives their understanding, and finally returns to Julian and the little one, where there are laughs, fire in the kitchen, and true tranquility. This is a story about forgiveness, courage, and the belief that after the rain, the sky always shines again. Join me on this journey called When He Comes Home to feel that sometimes happiness is not in a faraway place, but right where someone is still waiting for us. In the afternoon, the rain had just stopped. The last drops still hung from the roof, falling one by one with a steady sound. Tick, tick. He was sitting at the wooden table with his old phone in front of him. The yellowish light of an oil lamp wrapped the room in silent calm. Suddenly, the screen lit up. A familiar name appeared. He froze, his hand trembling slightly. His heart beat fast, not from fear, but from a mix of emotions, surprise, anxiety, and a faint sense of relief. He pressed the button to answer. A woman's voice came through the line, slow but cold. "I'm back, Yi." The air seemed to stop for a moment. He looked up at the window where drops were still sliding down the glass. His voice trembled slightly. What did you say? Have you really come back?" "Yes, I'm back. I want to see you to talk about everything, Jay." He fell silent for a few seconds. The past came back like a tide, the years of arguments, tears, lonely nights in an empty house, and that image of Ty leaving without looking back. But now there was no resentment in his heart, only the desire to close a chapter, to end everything clearly. "Where are you?" he asked, his voice calm. "At the old house, the one from before. You can come. We need to talk calmly." "All right," he replied firmly. "I'll go, this time to put an end to everything." When the call ended, Yi remained still for a long time. Outside, the rain began to fall softly again, but inside him there was a faint light, as if the storm that had raged in his chest for years was about to clear. He took a deep breath and looked toward the room where Huynh was rocking Maya. On the little girl's face there was immense peace, and then he understood, if he could close his past, he could open a real future for the three of them. The next morning, mist covered the furrows of the vegetable garden in front of the house. Huynh, her hands stained with earth, carefully pulled up plants covered in dew. The dawn light made her light brown hair shine. Jay stepped out of the house with a lighter step than usual. His face showed something different, a mix of relief and excitement, like someone who has finally set down a heavy burden. "Huynh," he called joyfully, "I have good news for you. Want to hear it?" She lifted her head, still holding a bunch of vegetables, and smiled. "You've got me curious. Tell me." He approached, his eyes full of determination. "She's back. Ty called me last night. She wants to see me to talk, to close everything. I've waited for this moment for a long time, Huynh." Huynh's smile faded for an instant. She tried to stay calm, though a hint of unease showed in her eyes. "So, you're going to see her?" "Yes," he answered softly. "I have to. I want everything to be clear, with nothing tying us to the past. If I can break free from what was, I want to start anew with you." Huynh lowered her gaze. A drop of dew fell on her cold hand, like the silence between them. "I understand," she whispered. "We all need to close the past to open the future." Jay took her hand and squeezed it gently. "I promise you, it will be the last time I ever mention her name. I want to arrange a small wedding. Nothing fancy, just you, me, and Maya. A real home, Huynh." His words sounded like a warm melody on that serene morning. The first rays of sun lit up the damp garden, and every drop of water sparkled like crystal. Huynh looked at him for a long time. In her eyes there was doubt, a little fear, but above all faith, a fragile but beautiful faith. "Go," she said softly. "Maya and I will be waiting for you to begin a new chapter." Jay smiled. He didn't know what the road held, But in that moment he firmly believed that if you dare to face the past, happiness stops being a distant dream. The cold had eased, but dew still clung to the rooftops. Jay stood still by the wooden table before leaving. On the table lay several yellowed papers, the divorce decree, a copy of the old family register, and a photograph from many years ago, he and Ty on their wedding day under an arch of purple bougainvillea. He looked at the photo for a long time, then folded it and put it in his pocket. Not because he still missed her, but because he wanted to face her and close everything. He put on his old brown jacket, the one that had accompanied him through so many rains and suns. Outside, his motorcycle waited on the porch, still dotted with water drops. He wiped the seat with his hand, put on his helmet, and looked back at the house. Once again, Hwin stood at the door. Her hair fell loose, and in her eyes were mixed worry and affection. She said nothing, only nodded slightly, a silent farewell. "I'm going," he said quietly. "Yes, take care," she replied, her voice trembling. He nodded and started the engine. The old, hoarse sound mixed with the whistle of the wind through the bamboo. The motorcycle moved slowly along the village path covered in mist, where puddles reflected a silver-gray sky. The smell of wet earth rose, carrying memories of past rains, as if the past itself was calling him to look back. He rode slowly. The road felt familiar yet distant. At every curve, memories returned. The day Ty left, when rain poured down and the car carrying her disappeared into the water. The day he stood in front of the gate with a broken umbrella in his hand, unsure whether to hold on or let go. Today it was raining too, and the road was the same. But his heart was no longer the same. He was no longer the man clinging to the past, but someone seeking his own liberation. The motorcycle stopped in front of the old house. The walls were covered in moss, the wooden door darkened by time. Purple bougainvillea still hung from the roof, swaying in the breeze. Jay turned off the engine and got off. For a moment he listened to the faint song of sparrows on the roof and the drip of water on wet ground. Everything was silent and strangely at peace. He knocked 3 times. The door opened. A woman appeared, thinner than before, her hair tied back, her face marked by time, but her eyes still held the same sparkle of old. "You came," Ty said, her voice low and somewhat broken. "Yes," Yi replied gravely. "You said you wanted to talk." "Of course, I do too." They looked at each other in silence for a few seconds. It wasn't a silence of indifference, but of two people who once shared a home and now only shared memories. "Come in," she whispered. "Let's talk inside. After all, this place was once your home too." He stepped inside. Everything was the same. The wooden table, the window open to the fields, the flowered curtains still hanging, though faded by the sun. On the table, a steaming teapot and 2 porcelain cups. "Would you like tea?" she asked softly. "No, thank you. I came to finish this." His words fell into the quiet air like a cut that split the past in 2. Ty looked up, her eyes trembling. She sat down, fingers tracing the rim of her cup. "You're right. I want to finish too. I was gone too long, and I know what is lost can't be recovered." Yi looked at her calmly. "I don't hold any grudge. I just want clarity. You left. I accept it. But now I have someone by my side and a little girl I love as my own. I just want to live with dignity, without being seen as the man whose wife abandoned him." Ty lowered her head. Her voice trembled. "I know. I heard you're doing well, that you have a good woman and a lovely little girl. I'm truly glad for you." "Thank you," he said, his voice hoarse. He took a folder from his pocket and placed it on the table. "Here are the old divorce papers. All that's missing is your signature, and everything will be officially over. We'll owe each other nothing." Ty looked at the papers. A tear fell, soaking the wood. "When I left, I thought you no longer needed me. Now I understand I was the one who abandoned the best thing I had." "No one was to blame," he replied. "It was just the moment." She gave a weak smile. "Could you sign for me? My hands are shaking." He was silent for a few seconds, then pushed the paper toward her. "No. You have to do it." It's the only way to truly close the past. She nodded, took the pen. The tip trembled for a moment, then moved. A short, firm signature, enough to end a long story. Yi stood up. Thank you. Now I can move on with my life. He turned to leave. Tai, she called, her voice breaking. Yi. I wish you happiness with her and the little girl. He didn't look back. He stepped outside. The rain had stopped. Only a cold breeze remained, making the bougainvillea tremble. He started his old motorcycle. The engine roared like a deep, steady heart at peace. He rode away, feeling a weight lift from his chest. On the horizon, the first rays of sun broke through the gray clouds. On the way back, he watched the mist dissolve and golden light spread over the fields. He smiled, a small but sincere smile. In his heart only one thought remained. Now I can truly go home. The afternoon light fell diagonally through the bamboo, tinting the village path golden and soft. The wind carried the smell of freshly cut grass, damp earth after the morning rain, and the song of birds returning to their nests. Ye's old motorcycle moved slowly along the red dirt road, leaving wet tracks that glistened on the ground. He had just left Tai's house. The papers were signed, the unsaid words finally spoken. The weight on his chest seemed to have blown away with the wind, though a faint quietness lingered, like the echo of a sad melody that had just faded. He slowed down. Ahead, a small fork led to the old house of Tai's parents, a place he knew well, where laughter once filled the air and they called him son-in-law. A shadow of doubt crossed his eyes. Then he took a deep breath and nodded to himself. I should stop by there. After all, I need to say goodbye to them one last time. He pulled over and looked around. At the roadside, a small stall under a tin roof displayed bunches of bananas, baskets of guavas and oranges, and a few bunches of wildflowers. Good afternoon. Could you prepare a basket with fresh fruit and some dried tea, please? The vendor, a middle-aged woman, smiled. Visiting someone important, young man? Just some old acquaintances, Yi replied softly, his gaze distant. He tied the basket carefully to his motorcycle and continued. The air blew gently, carrying the scent of orange and simple tea, humble but strangely warm. The entrance to the house appeared behind a cluster of palms and a hibiscus hedge. Everything was the same: the aged tile roof, the blooming hibiscus, the stone well still full of clear water. On the porch, the grandfather was reading the newspaper, and the grandmother was cleaning vegetables at a low table. When they heard the motorcycle, both looked up. The grandmother squinted and exclaimed with joy, "Well, if it isn't J.E. You came, son." The grandfather set down the paper and stood. "It's been a long time. Come in quickly. The afternoon is falling." Jay smiled and parked the motorcycle in the yard. He bowed respectfully. "Good afternoon, grandparents. It's been a while. Today I wanted to stop by and greet you for a bit." He placed the basket on the table. Oranges, a little simple tea, but sincere. The grandmother looked at him and sighed. "Always bringing things, son. Just seeing you come back is enough for us." Jay spoke slowly. "I know, but today I wanted to say goodbye. Maybe for the last time." The air grew quiet. The grandmother looked worried. "The last time? You saw Tai, didn't you?" He nodded, his gaze calm and deep. "Yes. I just came from there. Between her and me, everything is truly over." She lowered her head. Her hands trembled as she held the vegetables. "So, it's final?" she asked, her voice breaking. "Yes," Jay replied, bowing his head. "If we keep holding on, we'll only suffer more. I don't want anyone to live carrying the past. She has her path now, and I have mine. I just hope you won't be sad." The grandfather was silent for a few seconds, then nodded slowly. His gaze rested on Ye's face, the good man who was once their beloved son-in-law. "You did the right thing," he said firmly. "Some things can't be saved with sacrifice. What matters is living uprightly, without resentment. We'll take care of Tai. Don't worry." The grandmother sighed. She was the one who made the mistake. Leaving was her error, not yours. We know that. As long as you live well with a woman who loves and cares for you, we'll be at peace. Jay felt a lump in his throat, lowered his head, and murmured, "Thank you, grandparents. Even if I'm no longer your son-in-law, I'll always be grateful. I just wish you good health. When I have time, I'll come visit again, not as family, but as someone who always considered this place home." The grandfather smiled, stood, and patted his shoulder. "This house will always have its doors open for you, Yi. You were part of this family, and that doesn't change." The grandmother turned away to hide her tears. On the table, next to the vegetables, she placed some sweet potatoes and said softly, "Take these with you. Let her make you soup. I heard you're living with Julian now. That girl is good. We're happy for you." Jay smiled tenderly. "Yes, Grandma, she's a good person. Life gave me a second chance, and this time I want to live it with all my heart." The grandfather nodded. "Keep going like that. Don't look back. What awaits you ahead is your real home." The sky turned orange. The last rays of sun filtered through the bamboo and lit Ye's face. He bowed once more, took the empty basket, and walked to his motorcycle. "I'll say goodbye now, grandparents. Take care. Go safely, son. It's getting dark. I'm sure Hwin and little Maya are waiting for you." The engine roared softly and then faded into the distance. The old couple stood at the door, watching him leave with a mix of tenderness and relief, like saying goodbye to a loved one who has finally found his way back. On the ride, the wind played with his hair, bringing the smell of smoke from kitchens and ripening rice. He no longer felt the weight on his chest. Ahead, through the bamboo, the lights of Hwin's house appeared like a lamp waiting for him. He thought silently, maybe peace isn't forgetting the past, but having the courage to say goodbye. He accelerated with a calm smile on his lips. The sky burned red. The wind was warm, and in the distance a child's laughter sounded like a hymn of return for the man who, after half a lifetime of storms, was finally coming home. The dirt path to Hwin's small house appeared under the golden afternoon light. The bamboo gate was ajar, a pumpkin vine sprawling over it. On the porch, Hwin was shaking out vegetables while Maya played with a kitten, her rosy cheeks glowing in the last rays of sun. When the motorcycle stopped, Maya turned immediately and shouted excitedly, "Uncle Y is back! Mom, Uncle is back!" Hwin looked up, and when she saw him, a sweet smile appeared on her lips, the smile of someone who had waited silently but with faith. Jay parked, removed his helmet, and entered the yard. The twilight light illuminated his tired but peaceful face, like that of someone who has finally left a long past behind. "Hwin," she asked softly, a little worried, "you've been gone all day. Are you okay? Did everything go well?" He nodded, his gaze warm and calm. "Yes, everything is over. Hwin, I saw her. We talked. We said everything that needed to be said. There's no resentment or regret left." Hwin watched him for a moment, making sure his words were sincere. Then she smiled and said slowly, "So, you're finally free." He nodded slightly. "Not just me, she is too. And you." He stepped closer and opened the basket he carried. Inside were sweet potatoes and oranges the grandparents had sent. "This is for you from them," he said, smiling. "Grandma told me, 'That girl is good. Take care of her well, young man.'" Hwin let out a small laugh, her eyes slightly wet. "They still remember me?" "Of course," he replied. "Grandpa said that house still considers me family." She was quiet for a moment, looking toward the horizon. "Good people always receive good things," she whispered. He smiled and touched her shoulder gently. "I found you, the best thing that's ever happened to me." The evening wind blew softly, making Hwin's hair dance lightly. The smell of smoke from the kitchen filled the warm, peaceful air like a wool blanket on a cold night. Night arrived. Inside the small house, the fire lit their familiar faces. Maya, sitting between them, ate while telling school stories with eyes shining like dewdrops. "The teacher said I recited very well today. Do you want me to read it to you, Dad? Yi smiled and nodded. Of course, daughter, I'm listening. Maya stood and recited clearly. Asterisk winter wind arrives. Mom lights the charcoal. Dad smiles by the fire. And our home shines like spring sun. Asterisk. The simple, pure verses left them silent for a moment. Hwin looked at Yi with eyes full of feelings that needed no words. He smiled and replied, You recited it beautifully, Maya. He served her a little more fish in her bowl, a small gesture, but full of love that made the kitchen feel warmer than ever. After dinner, when Maya was asleep, Yi and Hwin sat on the porch. The crescent moon hung in the sky, casting their shadows on the brick floor. Crickets chirped, and in the distance a dog barked. Why, she said quietly, what do you want to do now? He looked toward the room where Maya slept, then back at her with a determined but gentle gaze. I want to start over, Hwin, not to forget, but to truly live from the heart. If you agree, I want to hold a small wedding right here. No luxuries, no show. Just us, a few relatives, simple food, and white flowers in the yard. Hwin smiled, tears shining in her eyes. You talk like it's a dream. It's not a dream, he said, taking her hand. I've been through the storm. Now I just want quiet days with you and our daughter. She rested her head on his shoulder and whispered, If that's your dream, I'll make it real with you. Outside, the wind gently moved the bamboo. The oil lamp flickered, but the light remained warm, steady, like their simple, honest, lasting love. The next morning, the sky was clear. Roosters crowed through the village. On the porch, Hwin hung laundry. Yi repaired the door frame. Maya ran around the yard singing happily. The sun fell on the new wooden boards, shining softly like a witness to a new beginning. Hwin, he called. This afternoon I'll go to the town hall to submit the papers. We're going to register our marriage again. She turned, her eyes radiant like morning light. You said you wouldn't make me wait long, right? Jay smiled. This time I promise. No one will have to wait. The camera slowly pulled back. 3 small figures, a man, a woman, and a little girl, standing together under the morning sun in a yard covered with dew. Their laughter mixed with birdsong, the wind, and the smoke from kitchens. In life, we all have a journey to find peace again. But sometimes what we seek isn't far away. It's right where someone is still waiting for us under the rain, by the fire, in a small home full of love.